The pool foundation is done, and next up we have the actual pool build to do. The way I'm gonna build the pool is quite simple. First off, I will cut all the boards to the correct length. Then I will add notches to all the boards. And when that is done, I will raise the poles for the pool and then build the pool. Let's build it! After spending some time in a program called SketchUp, this was the design I came up with. The only tricky part about this design is the corners themselves. They interlock with each other like that. Now to get all the boards perfectly flat with each other, I need to make small notches in each board on both sides so they flow together, much like a timber log house. I really want to know what this joiner method is called. I tried to search for it but I couldn't find it, so if you know, please mention it down in the comments. So now which piece belongs to which piece, I will number them. So this is 6 and this is 6 because I have already done 5. 7 and 7. Let's see, 8 and then in parentheses 2. 8, 2. And then we can put just 8. 8, and just to know which way 8 is, I'm gonna do like that. I will go ahead and start digging down the support pillars for the pool. There will be 3 on this side, 1, 2, 3, and 2 on the short sides. Over there. Alright. So I will make it up like that. To fasten the poles in the ground, I will use these kind of things. I have no idea what they are called, but you simply just screw them into the ground and they will anchor whatever you screw to them. They're really, really good. And they cost like $10 a piece. They are super easy and super fast to use. To make sure they're really in the center of things and that there are no stones or anything like that in the ground, I will actually pre-drill this and then screw them into the holes. Yeah, that was super easy, just soft clay. Now the hole I just made will guide this thing into the ground. Very easy, just screw it like by hand. Later on it will probably get way heavier. Wow, this was super easy. easier than I thought. Like that. So the important part here is that this bottom part is above ground level, so the pole doesn't touch the wet clay, and that way the poles last a very long time. Alright, so all the screws are in the ground right now. It's once again morning and it's time to add all the support pillars for the pool. These ones. I use 2 screws on each side like that. The screws I'm using are these. They are almost going all the way through the pole. They are a tad bit smaller than the holes, and the pole needs to be perfectly vertical so the walls become vertical. The bottom piece here is only half the width of the rest of the boards, which means I need to split one of these boards into 2 half pieces. It is time to finally start laying down the first row of boards, but I have already come across an issue. The line that will tell me where the corner is of the pool is too low down, meaning that I cannot add my first row of boards because they will touch the line and misalign it. The solution I had to that is to add longer nails, then it should work just fine. As you can see here, the long planks I have here are split into 2 pieces, and to get a good foundation for all the rows to come I need to screw these together. To do that I will use one of these steel plates, put it behind here and screw it in with a few screws. But to get these 2 into the same level and align with each other, I will use a cut-off piece like this one and just force them together. I will add one more row on the short edge of the pool, and when that is done I can finally start to level it all out, adjust the corners and screw them to the poles. To make sure they stay in place, I will just use normal screws and screw them from the side like this. I will not waste any plates on this, because this is just to keep these 2 pieces together. There will be no forces that tear them apart or something like that, so normal screws is just okay. Okay, so I got the first row completed now. It is a floating first row, meaning that I can move it any way I want to and adjust it as much as I want to. Now there's a few things I need to think about. First of all, this entire frame needs to be leveled. And second is that in each of these corners, this line needs to add up. And as you can see over here, it doesn't. And when I have it leveled and all the corners are where they're supposed to be, I can just screw the first row into the poles all around here, and after that it's just laying row after row all around the place until it's done. I'm gonna start to adjust this to get it into the corners, and then I'm gonna level it. And to get it into the corners I just use a sledgehammer like this one. So I think it's sand in it or something, and it works really well. Alright, so all the corners are as good as it gets. Now I just need to height adjust this, and to do that I will use my laser and my laser receiver. Shouldn't be that hard. I will begin with locating the highest point on the frame, and then I will try to do this whole frame the same height. Okay, so I located the highest point, which is on that pole over there. Now I just need to raise the entire frame to be in that level. Now to get the level on which these boards should be on, I need to add half the board height on top of the boards that are on the sides. So really all I have to do is move this piece down half of 13.5, which should be 6.75. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. The first row is finally in place, and now I can remove all the guidelines and start adding planks row by row until I reach the top. Let's go! Most of these boards are not straight, and to get them into position they need some persuasion. And for that I use this cut-off block to not damage the groove and hammer it. And when that doesn't work, I use a clamp to try to press them together. As you can see down here, I only fasten a screw in the bottom of the board, not in the top. And that is so that the following board will have a little bit more room to fit into it. If it's snug against this pole, there might be some issues. But now when this board is on, I can screw this on. And another screw here. But see, only in the bottom, I don't put it up here. This board has been extended over here before this pole, which means now this joint need to have a plate behind it like this to give it a full support. But on planks like this one that has been extended between two poles, I don't need that. You can see down here, I don't use it. On this side of the pool, I intend to have stairs coming down. So this wall is only there for strength, nothing really else. It doesn't really matter if it's bumpy or big gaps or anything like that. You can see this entire row over here is made out of pieces that has been left over. This is over like half a meter or something like that, and this is less than half a meter. And I just joined them together. On the back side, I didn't use plates, I just used some more cutouts to extend them. I do not intend to have any isolation back here, so these will not be in the way. While on this side, on the other hand, I intend to have isolation. And that will be flush against the wall, so these plates will not be in the way. In the beginning, when you start to add two boards together, you can just use normal clamps. After a while, when you get further up, the clamps will no longer reach, so then you can just sit on the plank and hammer it down. The weight from your body will keep the board down in position, while the shock from the hammer will move it down. As you get further up, this is when you start using tensioning wraps, and I will show you how I do it. Now as you can see up here, there's a gap I need to close, and I cannot just hammer it down because it springs right back up. So I need some force to keep it down. One really important thing is to use a block like this so the tongue doesn't get damaged. Sometimes when you do this, you might have to use a hammer on the block up here to shock it into position. Now this is the final board. This is the last piece of the puzzle. The special thing about this board is that it was actually the first board I started with. It's the second half that I did split into two pieces. I'm gonna use this flat connector on the back of the wall. I'm gonna add one in that corner, in the middle, and one over that in that corner. But first of all, I need to add two screws, one in each pole and one in that pole. Next thing to do is to clean up these edges. When I bought these planks, they were really wet. They were freshly impregnated and that hurt. And as time goes by, these planks start to dry and warp and twist and all that, and as you can see here, they actually started to pull apart a little bit. Now this doesn't do that much at all, but to prevent further movement and make this corner super stable, I will use a metal band from top to bottom on this side and on this side. And I will do the same thing for all other corners. It's important that you put it on this side and not on this side, because this is much weaker than this side. You want to first put a screw up here and then somewhere in the middle. And when you put the screw, you want to put it down in an angle like this. And you take the metal band, pull it out a little bit, and then you put this down in an angle like this. What will happen is when this screw goes down, it will pull this band down, making it a very tight fit. So there's no wobbling areas like this. And as you can see, it pulled the metal band very tight against the wall. And I will keep doing that all the way to the bottom. And then I will just fill in one screw in each plank. The top of each side of the pool need to be at the same level. And to do that, I will use a laser to draw out the line across the entire pool, so I know exactly where to cut the pool. I'll then use a circular saw to cut up the excess, and the remaining pool be at the exact same level. I will use this laser to draw out a horizontal line across the pool. But during daytime, this laser line cannot be seen. Let's change that. Neat trick, huh? I call it the God Clapper. It's really fun to use, you should try it. So with the sun out of the way, we can lit up the laser and see if it's in level. Now this is something I haven't done before, filmed in a very low light scenario. But you can see here the laser. I set the laser to be barely touching the highest point. This area over here, it's touching the top of the pool. While for example on this area over here, it is close to a centimeter or something like that. And if we move around and take a look at an area over here, see like that, you see? It's quite a lot more, it's almost 2 centimeters. So the pool has shifted a lot in height when I installed it. I'm not really sure why, but I'm glad I did this with the laser right now so I can correct it. I'm gonna add small markings, like a half a meter or so between each point, so that during daytime I can cut it. And that way the whole pool will be in the same level. I'm using a permanent marker for this so that no rain can wash away my markings during the night. Okay, so all the walls are now marked, and when I cut this, all the walls will be in the same level. So next step, I need to cut along the markings I made, and when I've done that, all the walls will be in the same level. But before that, I need to turn the light back on. Light is back on. Let's do this.